Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturchio and Chris Gueci.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition and episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a Wednesday. It is Wednesday, April the 26th, 2023. And of course, your host, Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci over there with a working, powered-up laptop. It's got to be a special day. Something's going on. Something's in the water because Chris has a working device. So, first of all, congratulations.
I have like 4 working devices.
You have. There is so much stuff over there.
That one's not doing too
this
good.
This is like Grand Central Station. This is borderline ridiculous. It's off camera. You can't see it, but the guy's got 3 phones and a laptop. You want to talk about, we can never make an excuse to not get a hold of
I don't
you.
answer any of them.
Any of them. None of them.
It's
Never
actually,
me.
That's 100%
I get memes and stuff sent to me at midnight when I'm sleeping and you're just wide-eyed and bushy-tailed.
This is how many times, this happens to me at least twice a week, where I'll send somebody like a meme on Instagram and they'll be like, dude, why don't you just respond to the text that I sent you an hour ago?
Right.
Like, oh, right, I'm caught.
Yes, caught dead, red-handed. Anyway, hope everybody's doing good out there. We got a loaded show, of course. A couple games gone down last night. We got a couple more tonight, and of course, NFL draft season is upon us. There's no more season anymore. It's here. It's tomorrow. So we'll get into some of the mock drafts that we've read into. Some stuff we agree with, some stuff we disagree with. But of course, now there's different parameters here as the Green Bay Packers move up a couple spots and the Jets move back a couple spots. Will there be any more trades? We'll get into all that. But first and foremost, obviously, you got to talk about yesterday. Ice, Trae Young does it again, folks. We thought it was over. And remember, keep in mind, when I make these graphics, it's usually the night before. So I just picked the 3 home teams. I was like, screw it. They're all going to win. And no, and that is not the case. Trae Young, you got to say enough about him. You can't say enough about him. 38 points last night, 5 for 13 from three-point land, including one shot that I was telling you in pre. I was like, it just looks effortless at this point. I know it's a new wave of basketball where, guys are coming up and they're just better shooters. Steph Curry kind of started it all with just his outlandish three-point shots. Last night, Trae Young dribbling down the court with, I think it was like 7 seconds left. They draw a great play where he just bursted out the scene. He gets the ball in the backcourt, drives down, stops for what it seems like as soon as he got past midcourt, he just chucked it up, and it looked so reckless. But he made it, and it was just a dagger. Like, Boston was just like, you're kidding. Like, you got to be kidding. Because, look, Boston had themselves a decent offensive game as well. Look, 119, 117. Both offenses flourished. Jaylen Brown had 35. But now, Chris, we said it yesterday. We asked ourselves, do the Hawks steal one, or do Boston just put them away? They didn't put them away. Series goes back to Atlanta now, 3-2. Any hope in this momentum riding?
I'm not going to sit here and say no hope, but no. I don't believe that the Hawks are going to beat the Celtics in the 7-game series, regardless of what happened yesterday. Great shot by Trae Young. These guys do this now. You watch him in pregame, he probably hits like 40 in a row.
Yeah.
And we're like, how's he doing that?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just what they do now. I mean, I wouldn't have taken that shot.
No, I mean, like I said, he literally...
But I can't hit a free throw.
He hits it with 1 point something left on the clock, so obviously, there's an inbound after that, but you didn't leave enough time for Boston to come back, so all of a sudden Atlanta just, roars back, gets that win, big time over there. We do have 2 teams advancing in the Western Conference, one of them being the Denver Nuggets. They put away the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves season is now over. Shout out to the Timberwolves who gave them a little bit of a push, but this series is over in 5, as yesterday, of course, Murray goes nuts, 35 points there. Clutch free throws by the Joker at the end to wrap this one up. You look at the Timberwolves, young nucleus there. They're going to be, I don't want to say contenders, but they're a piece away from, not being in a play-in series. Maybe they can.
They're also potentially losing a piece away from being irrelevant.
It's very true, very true. But when you look at Denver now, you've seen the domination that they had. They gave up 1 game, which, again, I'm not going to go nuts about it. Denver was the touted team going into the playoffs where if you looked at the whole scheme, right, and you weren't talking about the Lakers, you weren't talking about the Bucks, right? A lot of people were just saying, like, this could be Denver's year just because of the fact that they have 2 stars on this team, and they have been playing good basketball all season long, the best record of basketball pretty much all season long. So you look at Denver now moving on. At this point, do you think it matters who they're playing in the next round, or are they just going to cruise again?
Yeah, I mean, of course it matters. If we get down to the final 4 teams, one of them is the Lakers, one of them is the Suns, one of them is Denver, and then who's going to be the other one?
Well,
who would it be?
It would be the Kings and the Warriors.
The Kings and the Warriors. So yeah, it certainly does matter. There's no easy ones in the next round, that's for sure.
No, there's really
so
not.
Who would they end up playing?
I'm looking at the. I'm trying to find the bracket now.
I mean, the Lakers are gonna bust that bracket probably. So the 7 seed's gonna advance and play the 3 or the 4.
Is that what? Yeah,
I think it's gonna be the Lakers. And
here we go. So all right, I'm pulling up the West. Wow, it's already locked. It's Denver and Phoenix, and we're going to talk about Phoenix right now. It's the Suns and it's the Nuggets. That's a huge series as we segue over to the Suns, who 136-130, an offensive outburst by the Suns here. They're playing right where they need to play at this point of the season right now. Like we all saw when Durant got there, they were just unstoppable. Durant goes down. They have to weather the storm. Durant comes back. They're playing all world. The Clippers gave them a run.
I mean,
in one game,
they didn't. It was like shame on us for even thinking for one split second that was going to actually be a series.
Devin Booker.
I know Kawhi Leonard getting hurt really just completely ended things, but
that sucked the life right out of him. It really did. It was just
Phoenix is now they're like 16-1 with KD in the line.
Yeah, it's relatively nuts, and now Denver will play Phoenix in the second round for a chance to go to the Western Conference Finals. Devin Booker throws out 47 points. Durant 31. Yeah, like I was just saying, the Suns look just as good as what they need to look like going into that next round against the best team in basketball. That's going to be a hell of a series. I can't wait for that one. That's two powerhouse teams,
say
stars.
Denver's in trouble, but I don't know enough about like Denver. They're the best team in basketball all year, but Phoenix, they didn't have KD all year.
They made that
if
acquisition
they had KD,
when they needed to.
They would have probably been the 1 seed. So.
Absolutely. So, again, great shooting out of the Suns in this game to wrap up that series. 54% from the field, 50% from three-point land. So it's like everybody was hitting on all cylinders, firing on all cylinders. That's exactly what you need to do heading into the next round. So we got 4 games tonight. 3 of them can wrap up a series. Obviously, all eyes on my New York Knicks to see if they can wrap it up. I don't have the best feeling going back into Cleveland. It is Donovan Mitchell after all, so it's not like he hasn't been shut down. He went ice cold in the last game, which, again, that's half the reason why the Knicks were able to just pounce and take advantage and have great games out of Brunson and company. But, like, when you look at this game, can the Knicks put it away on the road? I'm kind of sick and tired, to be honest with you. We here in the New York market, all we have is the New York radio, unless you want to listen to Odyssey or like I do for Dallas radio sometimes. But like the New York market is talking about, well, how do the Knicks stack up against the Heat? And I'm just like, yo, hold on. Like I understand it's 3-1.
No, that's fine.
And I understand it's hard to come back from that.
The New York market doesn't have to play the game. I'll say this. I've said this to you in the past. Mm-hmm. We're not in the game. We're not playing. It's okay for you to look ahead at this. Like if it'll be like, oh, you got to get through week 6 before you look. No, I don't. I absolutely do not. I'm in New Jersey talking about the game, and they're playing it. You get what I'm saying? It's like, nah, you're just.
I know.
Getting ahead means nothing.
To me, it's touching the money. I don't like doing it. I don't like getting ahead of myself. Once the Knicks wrap this up, if and when they do, then I'll get excited for the next round of whoever it is. And can you count out Giannis right now? I understand Jimmy Buckets is playing all world, and tonight Butler can wrap that series up as well.
I would say it's a very, very more likely scenario that the Bucks come back and beat the Heat than it is for the Cavs to beat the Knicks at this point.
Well, so 2 games going down tonight. And, of course, the Lake Show is back. They're going against the Memphis Grizzlies again in game number 5. Do they put a bow on this one? Do the Lakers just straight dominate? Like, you're looking at this Memphis team. You can't dismiss what they did all season.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're due for at least another win. I'm not going to predict it because I'm not here doing the predictions thing, but the Lakers.
We actually are doing the predictions.
Yeah, but like I haven't been like take this team or big. No, I'm just what my opinion is. I want the Lakers to win, so that's basically how I've predicted every single game this whole postseason. So we're clear.
Just kind of looking ahead. I can look ahead at the West because I don't care about the West, right? Tonight, the Warriors and the Kings in a big swing game, right? It's game 5. It's 2-2. Whoever wins this game more than likely has a great chance to move on. But there's a potential in the West to see the Denver Nuggets play the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors play the Los Angeles Lakers in the second round. You want to talk about must-see ratings, television. That's everything that you want out of a series.
I hope the Kings win, personally.
I don't see that that's not as appealing for me.
It is for me. I mean, I think the Kings they're taking right now they beat up on the Warriors 2 games. De'Aaron Fox is hurt, so that's going to be interesting to see how his finger holds up. But
yeah, but he's been playing all world though. I mean, even minus the finger, like he could play with 9. It'd be fine.
Yeah.
He's fine. So that game goes down tonight, and of course, we'll cover all the results from tonight, tomorrow morning, as a couple teams could advance, and we can start talking about second-round matchups already.
Some new blood in there. That's what it comes down to. That's
I'm
what
well
I was
aware,
trying to say. It's like
but I
enough
guess
is enough already with Golden State.
Here's an opinion-based thing, right? So if you're a casual NBA fan and you just turned on the TV for the first time all season because the NBA playoffs are delivering game after game, banger after banger. Wouldn't you much rather see a team that you're familiar with to play the Lakers? You know, like
no.
For me, it's just like I'm big on the Knicks. I know my Knicks roster. I know the East. The West is foreign to me. And I'm not foreign, but like, you know, I don't know as much as about the West. But if you gave me the Lakers and the Warriors, I can name the starting 5 of each team.
The reason why you can name the starting 5 of each team is because there was a point way back when you had no idea who Klay Thompson was. You didn't know who Steph Curry was. And
so you want the Kings to be the Warriors.
I want some new blood. I want something new to watch because I know enough already about the Warriors. I've seen this happen already.
He's like, the hell with the Warriors. We're
done
good
with there. But, you know, if they make their run, I'll appreciate that too because it is greatness.
It is. It is indeed. Now, guys, it is time to get down to brass tacks. It is time for the NFL draft. It goes down tomorrow night, Friday night, and Saturday afternoon. Obviously, a lot of speculation going around about pretty much every position. From everything that we hear, there is a consensus pick over there in Carolina. They kind of know where they're going with this. What we did was we took a lot of the Todd McShays, the Mel Kipers, Daniel Jeremiah, and our boy over at Pro Football Focus, Mike Renner. We kind of smashed all their mock drafts together, and there is a couple consensus picks where it's just like, all right, this is a no-brainer. This is what's going to happen. There is some differences between the pairings here, but we'll kind of break it down right now. Chris, is there any shot that the Panthers are not sold on a guy like Bryce Young because of the fact that pretty much everybody across the board here, and now some of the latest mock drafts coming out today, Bryce Young, consensus, number 1 pick. Will he be the Panthers quarterback in week 1?
Yes. I don't know if he's going to start. I have no idea how that's going to play out, but he will be their draft choice on draft night, 100%. They didn't trade up the entire world for a guy that they didn't already know who it was. I don't think that...
You would think that they had something in mind.
It wasn't like... maybe one of these guys are worth trading up for. It's like if you're giving up the farm the way they did, you have to have something that you covet to do that. Otherwise, I just can't justify a move like that.
Yeah, remember, just a month ago or a month and a half ago, they gave up DJ Moore, their pick.
It would be tragic for me as an organization if they were like, if I'm a fan, I'm looking at the organization and I'm like, well, they traded up to get a certain guy. If they in the last final week changed that process, I would be like, what were they thinking? This was a month ago they pulled the trigger on this trade. They had to have had somebody in mind. It's Bryce Young. He already canceled all his visits to other teams. Like, these things aren't done for no reason.
I mean, we've seen crazier things before. Just a couple years back, we all saw Baker Mayfield go number 1 overall, which is like,
but
you're looking back now, you're like...
Cleveland owned that pick from the start. You know, when we're talking about a trade up, you're not trading up for, like, it's like, oh, you know what, we traded up for Bryce Young, but Will Levis really is impressive. And that's what I saw yesterday. I saw Will Levis was plus 400 to be the first pick overall. I feel like that was a Reddit GameStop type situation where people were just hammering that because there's no shot.
And you could play along, by the way, across the Mojo app all throughout tomorrow night with picks as they happen. So there's a draft party happening. Did you get your invite in the mail?
What?
Did you get an invite to the Mojo draft party?
No.
Me neither. Weird. Kidding. But anyway, it's going to be a fun time. Go check those guys out and follow them on social media for all the updates. Now, number 2, you wouldn't go anyway.
I would not.
No matter what. You could have given us the red carpet treatment, and Chris would find a reason not to go. All right. Number 2, this is actually kind of tricky. Consensus here across the board, the guys we researched, is C.J. Stroud. Now, all of a sudden, there's, some speculation that the Texans may not covet a quarterback here at 2. If they don't, right? If they don't covet the quarterback at 2, are they punting on the season automatically because you're going into the season with a D'Amico Ryan's first-year head coach? The team was bad last year. Obviously, you got the long-necked wonder over there trying to do his thing in Miles Davis. But Miles Davis. Davis Miles. I'm dyslexic all of a sudden.
Mills.
Davis Mills. Miles Davis played the
drums.
The drums.
Trumpet? I
Consider me Miles Davis. But no, it is Davis Mills all of a sudden. That was a weird brain fart. But CJ Stroud.
Yes.
Consensus?
No.
Right. So where do the Texans go? And why would they do this?
All right, we got it. So I think that it's not a punt on the season overall, but it's a realistic, like, hey, we're not taking a quarterback because that might be punting on the next 4 because there's not that guy after Bryce Young, and I don't think that there is. And what would happen is if they drafted a quarterback as high as 2 right now, there's a chance that they're picking first overall anyway, right? Because
next year.
Because
so they're gonna fall themselves into an Arizona Cardinals situation.
What are they gonna have?
Where they had Josh Rosen and then they went and got Kyler anyway.
Is CJ Stroud gonna make them not the 1 pick next year? Is Will Levis gonna make them not the 1 pick? Is this guy even gonna play out of the gate behind a team that's not good? It doesn't make sense for me if I'm in this spot to say, because we could either get the number 2 quarterback in the draft next year. It's not like they're not going to be in a very similar position. They already know Davis Mills at least could weather the storm.
He
for
can
a little
manage,
bit.
I guess. Yeah.
And are they trying to? If they don't win a ton of games, are they trying to win games? I know that Lovie Smith proved that they, do try to win games, but I think that he knew he was fired and. I'm not going to say that the Texans are tanking. They're going to take who they think is the best player in all these drafts and with all their draft picks. But it's not like a bad consolation prize when you're getting the best defensive player overall.
Not at all. And that's where we kind of fast forward in pick number 3, where we think that it could be, or they think it could be, Will Anderson Jr. Obviously, looking at my paper here, I got to print these out a little bit more. Edge rusher, obviously one of the best defensive players in the draft this year, goes to the Cardinals. Now, does anybody make the splash to trade up? Now, here's where I'm asking you a question. Now, based off of what you just said about the Texans, passing on a quarterback, because after Bryce Young, the fall off is just extreme. Does anybody trade up to the Cardinals pick right now to try to jump and get a quarterback if you're saying that none of them are worth it?
Well, I'm not saying that none of them are worth it at all. I'm not saying anything like that because I don't know. Like, some of these guys might be good. I'm saying 9 times out of 10, these quarterbacks don't pan out.
We've done that conversation
a ton. And these teams that might be trading up are in a different position. It might be a better sum of all parts around them. They could put them in a better spot to win out of the gate. Like the Titans, if the Titans move up, you would think that the Titans have a much better surrounding roster, a better, more proven head coach, where if they were to get a guy like this, it might take them a little bit less time. They might be able to compete a little bit out of the gate and put him in there. But I don't know, man. Like, from what I'm seeing, the quarterbacks are going to drop. And if there's going to be a guy that makes the leap, it's going to be Will Levis at this point, based on the Vegas odds. And, like, usually that's factoring off of at least something that somebody knows.
If the Colts covet a guy, right, and right now, let's just say it goes chalk and Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are gone 1-2. Let's just say the Texans do the quarterback thing. Do the Colts have to make a move to sit on Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, or are they just going to sit back because they know the Cardinals aren't taking a quarterback? They could just sit back, right? Like, they don't have to do anything.
I think CJ Stroud makes it all the way to the Falcons.
Holy hell. Okay. That's deep. But look, when you look at the 4th pick, you do have the Colts there. They're in need of a quarterback. They did sign Gardner Minshew to be the stopgap right now.
I think Seattle potentially takes a quarterback. If Anthony Richardson's there at 5, I think Seattle takes him. I think if
Seattle's been mocked all over the place to have Jalen Carter.
I think it goes Bryce Young 1. I don't know who's going to go 2, 3 out of those, how they're going to play that out.
But you don't see a quarterback.
But I don't see a quarterback at 2, 3, and then I see Will Levis at 4, and then Anthony Richardson at 5. That's my prediction. I don't know who's going to go 2, 3 because I've really not really gone too deep into anything other than skill positions because...
Yeah, no, and that's the Mojo Market anyway, so that's fine. But Anthony Richardson, in that case, you're looking at that draft pick, and again... I don't know about Seattle. Sitting there at 5, right? You got Geno Smith. He almost wins Comeback Player of the Year. Obviously, he had a great season. They re-sign him. They pay him.
But it's a modest...
If you have a Jalen Carter chilling there who slips because of, does he slip because of the fact that he had some off-the-field issues? I don't think so because, considering the top 4 teams, 2 of them or 3 of them need a quarterback, that's not his fault. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that could be a thing. I don't know.
He'll probably be one of the guys that's picked, though, in 2 and 3.
Yeah. It's possible. There's a couple, like I said, a couple corners and a couple linebackers that are out there, edge rushers. Tyree Wilson is a consensus pick over at 6 for the Detroit Lions, so they need some help on the defense. We all know that.
I keep on hearing like luxury pick. You have the ability to make the luxury pick. I think that's one of the worst terms in like the draft process. They can make the luxury pick.
What is it? What
There's
define
no
luxury
thing.
pick?
A luxury pick would be like, okay, the Eagles, you don't really want to take a running back 10th, but you could afford to because you have the roster to. But no, it's you're setting yourself up for financial disaster later on down the line when you're taking a really good running back at 10. That guy's going to want to get paid. So there's no such thing as like a luxury pick, in my opinion, when you're talking draft. But do the Eagles take Bijan?
Well, according to everything that I've read, Mike Renner thinks so. And when we get to the consensus pick over here on ESPN, Tim McManus, who they did like a whole staff draft yesterday, he does not. He thinks the Eagles go offensive line. Now, Bijan Robinson is a very fun story to watch, but you cannot dismiss the fact that the running backs, and we've talked about this at length, have lost their value over the years, or at least it took 1 or 2 bad contracts to decrease the value of running backs. But Bijan Robinson is being touted as one of the greatest running backs to come out of college in recent memory. Generational player is what they're saying. So do you go out and make that splash? If Bijan is hanging around, like, for instance, if the Dallas Cowboys at 26 right now, we'll talk about them tomorrow. But, like, if they're there and they see him kind of drifting into the 15, 16s, do you go up and make the splash? Because you're just going to put yourself in the same situation as you were with Zeke Elliott. I mean, that you loved him, you coveted him, you took him real early, and then you had to pay him. And when you paid him, you overpaid him. And then when you had to restructure,
I'm not going to take Bijan over a Nolan Smith or one of these guys that like they don't really use the running back in Philly the way most other teams do. It's like, I mean, Miles Sanders did have his touchdown output, and he had a good year, but I think. I mean, maybe it's a way to preserve the Jalen Hurts career a little bit longer. I don't know. But I'm not taking a running back at 10. I don't care who it is. I'm not doing it.
Who's the first receiver off the board? Because if you're looking at this right now, you're looking at the first top 8, and you're like, all right, there's no receivers that need to be taken that early. 9 is going to be somebody to protect. You would assume somebody to protect, Justin Fields, him. The Philadelphia Eagles have an opportunity to also protect their investment by going offensive line. If they want to make the splash and get Bijan, and that's, they'll buyer's remorse maybe. I don't know.
The Eagles are definitely potentially in on a wideout.
I don't know about that. When you have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, like, I think you're good for a little while. Like, I don't know if you need to add a third. Because, look, then you look at the Titans, right? The Titans right now are sitting there with a wide open variety of what they can do in the first round. The Titans, obviously, they're not. I don't want to say they're out on Ryan Tannehill, but there's a lot of rumors saying that this is not going to be the guy. Would they make the splash and get one of these quarterbacks that drift off into the sunset like you've seen over the years, like a Mac Jones fell to the New England Patriots when he came out of college? Does a Hendon Hooker, somebody coming off ACL, do they take the gamble on them, or do they go and get the best playmaker because they need them? Because after losing A.J. Brown, it was Treylon Burks, and for a while, me and you were writing Treylon Burks off.
Yeah, I mean, there's an obvious. I think that there's a bigger need at quarterback than there is at receiver. So if there's a chance that C.J. Stroud is there at 8, they might be calling Atlanta to move up. I think there's a chance that if there's one team that's picking outside the top 10 to move into the top 10, it's the Titans.
I mean, they're right there. So, I mean,
because
the Titans,
as quarterbacks fall, they might really be coveting a guy that they're considering trading up to 3 to get, and then he's still there at 8. They might have no choice but to try and make some phone calls on that day. But I'm hoping they don't take a receiver because I want options. I'm a Packers fan, so I want either Nolan Smith or Jackson Smith and Jigba.
So according to this last night's mock draft, Jackson Smith goes to Tennessee, and then the Houston Texans get another pick, and they go Zay Flowers. So that's 2 receivers off the board. The 13th mock draft here, for now that the Packers have moved up,
it's going to be a tight end.
It is. It's Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. Again, we talked about this a little bit, but Jordan Love has himself some playmakers on the outside, or at least the potential. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. Those guys could be good, right? And we saw the emergence of Christian Watson a little bit with Aaron Rodgers last year. Does he regress because it's not Aaron Rodgers? We don't know. We'll see. But quarterback's best friend is absolutely the tight end when you're young and you're inexperienced. Maybe that's why a lot of these people are mocking the Packers to take a tight end here. Are you okay with it? If it happens and it's Mayer or Kincaid, are you cool with?
You know how I am. Like, I'm going to be okay with almost whatever they do. It's just like, all right, hopefully they know better. I'm not going to know until they get out on the field. If I'm picking, I'm either going to take someone on the edge that could, completely blow up a game. I think Nolan Smith has a chance to be a really, really good player in the league. And they obviously need help at wide receiver, whether or not Christian Watson is the man or not. Romeo Doubs, he missed some time last year. Christian Watson missed some time last year. There's a depth issue at the wide receiver position.
And they lost Cobb, right? Cobb's not there no more. Aaron Lazard's not there no more.
It's mainly the depth issue at this point. They need receivers. They're going to be taking wideouts in this draft. There's no question about it. But the Packers have typically avoided receivers in the first round, and they've gone after them in the second, and they do have 2 second-round picks where there's some potential value there.
All right, so as a Packer fan and somebody that's in, Packer Nation's invested in this comment right here, if the Packers draft a receiver, do you think it's officially like a change of the guard, a change of the regime, a change of the mindset for the Packers, considering they never got Rodgers' help in the first round?
No.
Ever.
No, I don't. I think that they're always trying to get better in the best way possible, and a lot of the years that they were drafting in Aaron Rodgers' tenure, they just simply didn't need a wide receiver in the first round. Even when they had Devon, it's like, they didn't give him a first-round receiver. It's like, bro, you had Devontae Adams. It's like,
that's very true.
like when we had Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, if the Packers walk up to the podium in the first round and they take a receiver first overall with a lot of these, the media thing made it out to be way worse than it was. Aaron Rodgers, trust me when I say my heart bleeds for, dude, he's got 400 and something, come on. He's like.
Well, listen, Rodgers made some stars too. Does anybody know who Jordy Nelson would have been if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers?
Yes.
If it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers?
Jordy Nelson was better than Dez. Look at the numbers.
Stop. All right. I mean, I was listening to all of your opinions until you made such an outlandish.
It's not outlandish. It's not outlandish.
It's okay. Listen, I know it's early, and you're trying to stir the pot, but there's no shot that you can poll. You can poll 100 people. You could poll 100 people, and 85 of them will say Dez Bryant was better than Jordy Nelson.
And 85 of them would be potentially wrong.
No. See,
we can't even get into why I want to get into why I think that this, because it's a whole other issue going
for bonus
here.
content. Follow us over at Josh Sports Media. I digress with that, but that's 1 through 15. The Jets moving back 2 spots.
The point that I'm trying to say is Jordy Nelson was a very good player, and nobody.
I'm not taking anything away from Jordy Nelson.
Obviously he had a great.
Would Jordy Nelson have the same career if he had freaking Mark Rippon? I don't know why that name came up.
To the point, it's like, has any other receiver in the NFL had a good career without Aaron Rodgers? It's like there's other quarterbacks. Like Kirk Cousins is lighting it up for Justin Jefferson. You know what I mean? Like, is it like because of Kirk
But imagine
Cousins,
his numbers if he had Aaron Rodgers.
How much better could they be?
How much better?
They couldn't.
Come on.
No, there's only a certain amount of plays in the.
I know there's only one ball to go around. I get that point, but come on.
How much
Jefferson here?
But so what? He almost had 2,000 receiving yards. What is he? If Aaron Rodgers is there, it actually might be worse because they're spreading it around more. You don't know how that plays out. You just simply don't know. Numbers don't always get elevated with a better quarterback or better weapons around you. Sometimes they get worse because you got to share.
Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, he said his goodbyes yesterday on Instagram. It says goodbye to all Packer Nation. Very heartfelt. I was a little emo on that one. I was like, wow, he's not a jerk.
You know what I got out of it? I don't care. It's like if I'm being honest, right? He doesn't know anybody in terms of like I would let that marinate a little bit. I would let that marinate. Let
he put out a Jets post like right away with a new watch.
Yeah, I don't care about that either.
But
like, I would let it marinate a little bit, and then. But he was just like, into the fans, thanks. That was it to the fans. The fans got like a very, very small thank you, and.
Because you know what? I guarantee the Green Bay fan base is very much like the Cowboys, very much like our struggling Yankees right now.
People.
They are, but not even that. They expect championships after championships after championships. And when it doesn't happen and they don't meet the expectations, they become public enemy number one. And that sucks for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who is all world, one of the best to ever do it.
Almost every fan base is fickle.
Some people are content. Some people are very content being mediocre, honestly.
No, they're
Look
not
at the Jacksonville Jaguars. If they excel, they're excited. If they don't, they're like, oh, well.
You know what it is? It's not that they're content. It's just like, as a human, you can't make it your identity. It's like, oh, the Jaguars suck. I have to be mad all the time. And it's like, no, just don't care.
This is just a shot at me saying your identity is the Dallas Cowboys, and that's fine.
No. This is a shot at this is just a shot at people in general that make, it's like you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Dave, you're going to be fine.
Nah, I don't know about that.
And Jordy Nelson is like...
We're going to get off that real quick. What you're going to do is you're going to follow us right now on the old social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, and, of course, join the Discord the time.
If you ever say to me, if you ask 100 people, as if I value like 100 random
Ask
people.
100 experts. Ask whoever.
Even still, bro.
Well,
Even
because
still. I need to ask myself 100 times. That's how I'll be.
It's a horrible justification of all this.
Arbitrary on all but about.
Unbelievable. Anyway, that's a show. It's going to be another loaded night of NBA action. We'll cover it all tomorrow. Tomorrow's draft day. We'll cover the back end of the first round, mock some more, and do all that fun stuff. So for Dave Sturchio and Jordy Nelson over here, this has been another episode
Air Jordy.
of the Mojo Market
His
Report.
mom bought me a beer.
See you back. Is that true?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. All right. See you guys tomorrow.
That's how I wanted it.